Hello and welcome to the first episode of what we think we're going to call Nerd News. We're not 100% sure, but by the time it's out there'll be some branding and you'll see it and you'll know better than I do right now what we're actually going to call it. But this is the first episode. I'm excited. It's kind of a bit of bonus content for the Cult Classic Society podcast. We don't get to cover everything we want to cover. There's some great upcoming stuff. We talk a lot about stuff from the past. We're going to talk about some stuff from the future in this. We're going to look at some trailers maybe, some news of stuff that's coming out, and maybe just what me, and then next week, or in 2 weeks probably, what Tim, maybe on the alternate weeks to the podcast episodes, maybe what Tim's been up to, what he's been watching, what Tim is excited about and what I'm excited about are different things. So we're going to look at that now and we're going to talk about it. Before I get started on this new kind of sub-venture we're doing, just a quick note. This is our first thing that's going out on both podcast and on YouTube. There is a video version of this. There will be, we hope anyway, we're trialing it, we're recording that this week, the first video episode of the podcast as well. And coming up next on our next episode 31, kind of a landmark. We got to 30 episodes and we decided to kind of change it up a bit. We're going to do our first video episode as well. So it will be available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, on Overcast, Stitcher, wherever you listen. There will be the audio version as per normal. There'll be nothing different about that if that's how you want to take it in. But we will be doing video versions on YouTube. So if you want to come and look at our faces while we talk about this stuff, you can come watch. And yeah, I'll put the link in the description to the YouTube in the podcast. So if you're listening to this, you want to go on the YouTube, there will be a link there. You can also just search for us on YouTube. You should hopefully be able to find it quite easily. Cult Classic Society, you know who we are. And this is the first piece of video content. So number one, first thing, big thing. The GTA 6 trailer has come out after so many years of waiting. And I am dead excited. I've been playing the PS2 era games on my Steam Deck, the enhanced ones. Really good. Loving the nostalgia at the minute. I'm already up to San Andreas and I forgot how good and fun that game is. Fun being the key word for GTA. You know, I think 4 kind of forgot that they were supposed to be fun. 4 was a bit more serious. There is some silly moments in it. 4 felt a bit more serious. 5 kind of comes back to a lot of the silliness, especially with characters like Trevor. Really kind of a game series I'm invested in and have been invested in since I was too young to be playing them, and my mum didn't realise that they were 18s and I got away with getting one. Great times. That was 3. I was far too young to be playing it, but I love that game and I love all the GTA games. 5. I played 5 online loads. I've kind of got bored of it eventually, but it took years, and me and some friends played it a lot. I love the racing, I love the heists. Really great. Thing is, I did get bored of it, and we need some new ones. We need a new game, and we don't have it yet. And we've been waiting for years for a trailer, and the trailer hits, and it's looking like the release date is going to be 2025 spring, which is still so far away. I kind of would have preferred to wait for the trailer. If they could have put the trailer out towards the end of 2024, let us get all excited then, and kind of not have to wait for a year and a half nearly for a new game. Who knows? In the meantime, we did have Red Dead Redemption 2. Really great game, really great online. That was 5 years ago, and that is the interim game we've had since 5. 5's over 10 years old now. I got 5 on the weekend of one of my good friends' stag do's. They now have 2 children and have been married for over 10 years. You know, that's how long that game's been out. Life is completely different for a lot of people. What a crazy amount of time for a game to not be out. Onto the GTA 6 trailer though. It looks amazing. The graphics are amazing. And we get our first look at one of what looking like it's going to be 2 lead characters. Lucia, first female GTA protagonist out of the online mode. You can create female characters online. But in terms of story characters, this is the first playable female character, which is great. I think it's going to bring a different vibe. She's just going to be a badass, isn't she? You can see it from the trailer. She is being released from prison. She has an ankle tag on, so presumably she's on some kind of parole. I feel like the game's probably going to be set after she's released, as opposed to Kind of maybe we get the mini mission at the beginning, like we did with Michael, like as a preamble to why she ends up in prison. I don't know. It's going to be great. I've been to America a ton. I've only been to Florida once, and we only kind of went for Disney and stuff. Didn't go to the beaches, but it looks amazing, this version of Florida. It looks like what you see of Miami in the movies. There's the beachfront, there's the kind of brutalist buildings, and a bit of kind of the throwback buildings. It looks amazing, and like GTA 5, it isn't just going to be the central city like it is with the PS2 era games. It's a big, expansive area. So GTA 5 had Blaine County. This has got, I think it's called Kelly County. It's going to be the swamps and the country of Florida. It looks insane. It looks great. The map's going to be huge. Cannot wait for that. There are some of these really cool Florida viral moments. These are kind of the fake viral moments from the trailer have kind of gone viral themselves, especially compared to the original viral videos that they're based on. And I hear that one of the people they're based on is trying to take Rockstar to court over using their image. They feel like they're owed something from being that. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know what to talk on that, but there you go. There is 2 playable characters by the looks of it, which is Lucia and then an unnamed, as far as I can tell, male character. A bit like GTA 5, where you had the 3 characters. Presumably, once you've unlocked them, you'll be able to switch between the 2. I don't know, it's going to be great, isn't it? I presumably between now and spring 2025, we'll get a couple more trailers at least. Probably a really big one towards kind of Christmas. Yeah, let's look out for that. That's going to be sick. Now, if you've listened to 2 of our previous episodes, the only subject matter that have been covered by 2 full episodes, Doctor Who. There was a Christmas episode. It was brilliant. Myself and Tim have both watched it. We both loved it. Obviously, we both loved it. We love Ncuti Gatwa. We love Doctor Who. And it was such a good start for a Doctor. No, I can't think of another time when a Doctor got that good of a start. There has been problems. Some of the scripts are weaker. Some of the scripts were clearly meant for the other Doctor who preceded them. And it was reworked into a regeneration story. Not great. I think the only really strong one of Modern Who was probably Matt Smith. If you're not counting the 60th anniversary specials, it feels like they're not quite new Doctor post-regeneration, because we know there was a comic book for 14. Jodie Whittaker as 13, her first episode was pretty good, but they're the 2 examples. I didn't love David Tennant's first post-regeneration episode, really didn't like Peter Capaldi's, and Rose as the first episode of Christopher Eccleston is good, not really a post-regeneration though necessarily, but yeah, it's they're not things that get done right every time, and I think they nailed it with Ncuti and Millie and 15 and the backstory they've now created. There is a musical number, and I'm not one for musical numbers being crowbarred in where if it feels like they can't logically in some way make sense as to why they're happening. And I don't think this does that. This is because the goblins have their song that they clearly sing when they're feeding their goblin king, and the Doctor and Ruby decide to join in. Ruby looking most uncomfortable trying to make stuff up on the spot. But that's not the big news. The big news is that the trailer is out, or the first trailer is out, for what they're calling Series 1. Again, reset, Doctor Who, post-bi-generation, I guess. Ncuti's first season, Millie's first full season. The trailer is out, came straight out after the Christmas special. It looks great. The first thing we notice is that the Doctor is wearing different outfits every time. He's actually wearing era-appropriate stuff to try and blend in. I wonder if we'll get a canon explanation for that. Does 15 just like dressing up? Does he feel like he needs to kind of blend in more? We also see that the Beatles are going to appear, and I love the Beatles, and I love when real world figures are in Doctor Who. Some of the best New Who episodes have had real world people in it. Agatha Christie in The Unicorn and the Wasp, really great episode. Vincent van Gogh, one of the best episodes. Tim loves that episode, I know that. Shakespeare, that's one of my favourite episodes. We get Lizzie the First in the 50th anniversary, great episode. Charles Dickens appearing alongside 9. Churchill, Rosa Parks. We've had some of these amazing historical figures appear in the show, and most of the time the episodes with historical figures absolutely smash it out of the park. I don't know if it's because there's a kind of a setting to work from already. I don't know, but they always seem to smash it out of the park. We also see a brief clips of Jinx Monsoon from RuPaul's Drag Race fame, and we don't know who she's playing, and we also don't know who, from the end of the Christmas episode, who is Miss Flood. Both of these actors have had speculation over who they're playing already, both of whom have had the same kind of the kind of characters same speculated for both of them. The Meep mentions the Master. Not the Master, sorry, the Boss. The Master's a different one, we'll come back to that in a second. The Meep mentions the Boss. The Boss is... we don't know who, but it appears that they're in charge of both the Meep and the Toy Maker. So it could be that either of them could be their Miss Flood, or Jinx Monsoon could be the Boss. They also could be the Master, or the one that's always thrown around, especially when there's a female who looks like they could be from the past, the Rani. And was it Jinx maybe who took the tooth that contained the Master from the Toy Maker? It's someone with very bright red nail varnish. This did happen in a previous episode. We discussed it in our episode about the 60th, which should just be out now. I think you can go listen to it. We got some actual monsters as well. I can't see any returning villains, but these aliens, they look like they could be something from like Dead Space. They look really cool in a very Doctor Who way. Maybe a little cheesy, but scary at the same time. I look forward to it. It's been a while since we had a good like horror-style beast. And finally, the thing that kind of ends towards the end of it, we see Yasmin Finney back as Rose Noble. Does that mean we're going to get an update about 15, David Tennant? Does it mean we're going to get a cameo? Who knows? But it could be great. Or he could not. I don't think Shooty needs David Tennant necessarily. I love David Tennant. David Tennant should be in Doctor Who in some way, but he maybe should have his own series, his own spin-off, not mainline. Maybe we leave Shooty for now at least. Maybe wait till the end of Shooty's second season for something like that. But the connection's already there. Rose Noble is back. Oh, it's going to be great. Another trailer that's been doing the rounds, and I'm not as keen on this one. Some of you may have seen on the news the Steamboat Mickey era or Steamboat Willie era of Mickey Mouse has gone into the public domain. It's like about 95 years after the release, I think. But this game has clearly been known this is coming up, and someone has created a horror video game where Mickey Mouse appears to be one of the main villains. It looks like a pretty standard kind of horror game, but it feels like there's a mod to have Mickey thrown in. It doesn't feel like it's like wholly original. It doesn't feel... it feels, with the Winnie the Pooh horror movie that we had recently, it feels a little uncreative. It feels like something that a fan would do. Well, we've seen all of the mods of Fallout. I don't know, maybe this is something Tim's going to be more into than me. It's a horror movie, the horror game, type thing. It's called Infestation 88. And yeah, it's not for me, I don't think. But there is another thing that looks a bit like Mickey Mouse. It's called Mouse, released in 2025, and it's a first-person shooter, but all done in rubber hose animation style, which is really cool. Rubber hose is that kind of 40s, 50s animation style. Don't see it so much anymore unless someone's trying to look Cuphead, not recent anymore, but the Cuphead video games, they're done in a rubber hose style. This one is a first-person shooter where a lot of the characters look Disney-esque, Disney-inspired. There's definitely mice, there's definitely dogs who look a bit like Goofy. This looks a bit more fun to me than isn't this very popular character now a horror movie, isn't that scary? This just looks a bit more fun to me. Each to their own, I suppose, though, but I'm looking forward to this more than I am towards Infestation 88. Another trailer I just watched, hasn't done the rounds as much on socials or anything. I haven't seen it, I just stumbled across it in my searchings. But Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I really love Ghostbusters, and I really liked the last movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife, one where the kids find the Ecto. Really great film, really good fun, just lighthearted fun, kind of almost captured the energy of the original Ghostbusters again. Really liked it. This trailer starts in the height of summer, almost looks like the GTA trailer, but an ice age starts out of nowhere, and we see the classic Ghostbusters fire station in New York kind of frozen over. So we're back in New York now. We were out in the sticks for Afterlife, but we're back in New York for this one. And it looks cool, like it looks really cool, the graphics and stuff. The premise appears to be that there's some kind of ghost or entity that can scare you to death, and then you freeze. Don't really understand the logic. We'll obviously be told in the movie. Dan Aykroyd's back. Paul Rudd's in this one again. It should be good. Looks like the whole family are now Ghostbusters. The kids and the parents. Oh, well, stepdad with Paul Rudd. He was the teacher in the first one. Yeah, something like that. It looks really great. Again, I am a big Ghostbusters fan, though. If you didn't like Afterlife, maybe you won't like this one, but I'm looking forward to this one. Another thing I'm excited about on the video game front is there's a mod of Fallout 4 coming out, set in London. And I think, as far as I'm aware, all of the Fallouts have been set in some version of America so far. And I think Bethesda have given these modders permission to kind of make this London mod, and it looks really great. Now, I grew up in South London, Croydon, spent a lot of time in Bromley as well. Both of those places are featured places. The pub I used to drink at when I was much younger, when I used to work at the media distribution shop, the Swan and Mitre in Bromley, by North Bromley, is in the game. And it looks like the pub I went to. The bus that I used to get to work, there's a burnt out version of it with a number. There's a lot of love and time and effort gone into this, and I am psyched for that too. So check out Fallout London. It's going to be sick. As for kind of what I've been watching, listening to, what I've been doing in terms of cult media stuff, I was given a book for Christmas. I was given 3 books, in fact, but I'll show you the first one. It's called Children of Time by a writer called Adrian Tchaikovsky. I've heard this book is amazing. Loads of people have told me to get this book. The reviews online say it's amazing. I'm a big sci-fi nerd, big time travel nerd as well, which I assume will be involved in this. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into it. I haven't yet. Didn't get it till nearly New Year's Eve because because I didn't see the person who was going to give it to me. But this is it, Children of Time. If you're listening on the podcast, sorry you can't see it. Cool cover. Looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm going to get stuck into that soon. Also been rewatching a sitcom that I love from the 2000s called The Royle Family. Not like the British monarchy, but Royle, R-O-Y-L-E. That is their surname. It's about a poor family who live in Manchester. Beautifully written, won tons of awards, loving rewatching it. I started rewatching it because I was looking for some Christmas specials to watch. So I watched a Christmas special, forgot how much I loved it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch the whole thing. So I've started, I'm on series 2 already. Really great show, great characters. Caroline Aherne, Ralph Little, so good. Just if you like stuff like Detectorists, like we've covered before, go and watch The Royle Family if you haven't. Really good. Oh, and This Country. If you like This Country, you'll probably love The Royle Family. Another thing I've been watching, and I've wanted to do kind of stand-up on Cult Classic Society before. Really hard to figure out how to talk about stand-up for, an hour, especially without just kind of retelling the jokes. But I watch a lot of stand-up. I love stand-up. Me and Katie, my wife, have been to Edinburgh Fringe Festival 3 times. I went once before we even met. Love comedy, love stand-up. Me and my wife have watched all of the Jim Jefferies specials that are on Netflix recently. Again, we've watched them before. They're absolutely brilliant. Jim, the gun control routine. What I love about Jim is he finds the edge and actually puts a punchline on it. There are several comedians who just say horrible things and think that's enough for a special. Jim doesn't do that. We'll get on to Tim in a minute. Jim doesn't do that. And the other person I've been watching, the other stand-up I've been watching a lot of recently, rewatching, because I've seen all of their stuff and they no longer kind of participate in stand-up, is Tim Minchin. I love Tim Minchin. Just watching more clips on YouTube more than anything. I do have some of his DVDs, and there are some of his specials to be found online, but a lot of the songs individually, his comedy songs, are on YouTube. Really great stuff. Love him. He did a couple of special songs just for Jonathan Ross's show too. 2 songs that were only performed once. They're both brilliant, both very funny. Just enjoying that at the minute. Really good. Love Tim Minchin. He also wrote the music for, and I think he wrote just the entire play for the musical Groundhog Day. And I love the movie Groundhog Day, and I love the musical Groundhog Day. Tim Minchin absolutely smashes it. Absolutely smashed it out of the park. We went and saw it a few months ago. Really good. Would recommend if you're in London, if you like theatre, if you like musicals. Go check out Groundhog Day. Really good. And that's it. That's it from the first episode of Nerd News, I guess. yeah, really enjoyed this kind of a little bit of bonus thing about pop culture. We love our pop culture at Cult Classic Society. I've done this episode. Tim will do the next episode. We think in probably 2 weeks, alternating with the podcast. Can't guarantee it. You know, we have to find time for these things, but we love this, and yeah, we hope that you enjoyed it too. I'm going to put all the YouTube links for the trailers and everything that I've spoken about today in the description for the video and for the podcast. So if you want to check out what I've been talking about, they're there. You can find them there. And that's it from the first episode of Nerd News, brought to you by Cult Classic Society. And all I've got to say is, Nerd News, my arse.